In today's show, the Blazers make the Jerami Grant trade official, Eric Bledsoe gets waived, and we are hours away from watching Shaedon Sharpe in the Blazers uniform for the first time. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter, Mike Richmond. You are listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making the show your first listen every day, 5 days a week, free on all platforms. Make it your first listen. Start your day listening to Locked On Blazers, and then come back again and make it your first listen the next day. We got a lot to talk about today. The Blazers, you are listening to Thursday, July 7th show, and the Blazers, because the moratorium ended today on Wednesday, July 6th, as I'm recording this, the Blazers did some administrative stuff, made some things official, made some moves. So we got to talk about kind of where they're at with and the official announcements, stuff that went down, which makes other stuff in the future mean it's not going down. Let's start there, though. The Blazers announced today that the Jerami Grant trade is official. So, I think the outside chance that the Blazers were holding out and the Pistons were holding out to be a facilitator in these sort of larger shifts, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, DeAndre Ayton, Miles Turner, whatever happens in Toronto, like all of the sort of the big domino moves, that one is done. The Blazers have finalized the deal with the Detroit Pistons. The sort of little bit of news that we didn't know was the Blazers in that deal swapped the 36th pick in the draft that went to Detroit, and for their troubles got 46 during that Jerami Grant trade. Then they traded the 46th pick in the 2022 draft to the Denver Nuggets, and the Blazers got back a future second-round pick. It's a 2024 second-round pick, and it'll be the more favorable of either Minnesota or Charlotte's. That's what they get for Denver. Denver with the 46th pick took Ismail Kamagate from France, who's going to spend a little time in Europe before coming over. Blazers, add to their staple of future draft picks. It was going to be hard for them to take three rookies onto this roster. They got a couple that'll be fun to watch. We'll talk about later in the show. Beyond the administrative stuff from the Blazers, we're going to talk a bunch of Summer League stuff today. I want to talk about Shaedon Sharpe. I want to talk about Jabari Walker and Greg Brown and Trendon Watford and what I'm excited specifically to see from those gentlemen. But let's continue a little bit with some sort of Blazers administrative stuff. The team also announced today they have officially waived Eric Bledsoe. Let's just run through all of our favorite Eric Bledsoe moments. I really like... I'm just kidding. Eric Bledsoe, who came over in the Los Angeles Clippers trade that sent Norman Powell and Robert Covington to the Clippers, and came over with Keon Johnson and Justice Winslow. Keon and Justice still part of the team. Eric Bledsoe and his partially guaranteed contract now free to sign wherever. On the surface, this seems like a bummer for the Blazers because it's like you get Eric Bledsoe's contract. At the time, it was about $18 million, $19 million, but partially guaranteed for next season. The Blazers would be on the books for somewhere between $3.5 and $1.3 million, depending on if they stretch his contract, which I assume they will do, almost certainly. But they... it was like, oh, they're going to be able to trade Bledsoe. His partially guaranteed contract's going to be such a boon. It's going to be so valuable. When they didn't find takers for him ahead of the deadline, right? Like when they weren't able to flip him because they made that trade on like Friday. They had maybe 5 days before the following Thursday's deadline. When they didn't find takers at the deadline, it became less and less likely that Bledsoe was going to be traded. And then when the Blazers signed Gary Payton to his contract, or agreed to sign Gary Payton to his contract, it just wasn't. It was over. The dream died. And so why is Gary Payton and Eric Bledsoe tied together? Well, the Blazers, by giving Gary Payton the contract they did, are hard capped without getting like too deep into the CBA stuff. Like I understand for some people this is very simple. Others it's like really deep in the weeds. So let's do like the Cliff Notes version of this. There are two tools given to teams that are above the salary cap line. One is for the taxpayer mid-level exception. It is a contract for teams that are above the tax line, and it is about $6.5 million. Then there is the non-taxpayer mid-level exception. That's what the Blazers had to use, which was a contract that could be worth up to $2 million or $10.2 million, $10.5 million basically with the change in the salary cap. Up to $10.5 million, up to a 4-year contract. They gave GP 2 years plus a player option for more than that 6.5 mark. The 6.5 mark that was the taxpayer mid-level exception. Because the Blazers exceeded that line, they are hard capped, which means during the season, at no point during the season can they exceed the tax apron, which is like $157 million. Yeah, that's a lot of numbers. But what you need to know is that the Blazers cannot at any point have, during the season, for the remainder of this year, go over $157 million in total salary. So that meant trading Eric Bledsoe was basically impossible because the Blazers could only treat his salary like $3.5 million, the partial guarantee, but another team would have to treat it like that full, 18, 19 million bucks. Portland was going to have to take back a lot of money to trade Bledsoe. They're going to have to take back big money to trade Bledsoe. The value of this contract was actually probably taking on bad money, right? Long-term, the Gordon Haywards of the world, someone who's good but overpaid, and you trade Bledsoe out to give a team some salary relief. When Bledsoe was not included, probably smartly in the Jerami Grant deal, and not included in some other deals like facilitating getting Julius Randle, who I'm not even a particular fan of, when that was out the window. And they agreed to the contract with Gary Payton, that kind of ended the Bledsoe dream. So you end up with this. You end up with waiving Bledsoe and getting nothing for the deal. It makes the Rocco Norm thing it is what it is. It was a salary dump. It allowed the Blazers to maybe do what they're doing now, and you can choose your own adventure. At the time, I thought that was much more disappointing, the CJ McCollum trade. Nothing has really changed on my end with that. It kind of just is what it is. Maybe Keon Johnson turns into an NBA player and changes my tune. Maybe Justice Winslow really shows out this year and I feel a little bit differently. But the Blazers salary dumped 2 NBA rotation players, 2 dudes who are going to be contributors on a good basketball team. And that doesn't feel great. And Bledsoe is the end of that salary dump. You just eat his money to get basically the Blazers just ate his money to get off of. Actually, the Clippers did what you thought the Blazers might do. They traded bad money for him. Norman Powell with a giant contract, 4 years and another $72 million owed to Norman Powell. The Blazers got out from under that money, and how they did it was this Eric Bledsoe partially guaranteed contract. You thought that the Blazers would be able to maybe repeat that if they chose to do so. They went another direction. The team's fine. I really like Gary Payton. I think Jerami Grant's a good trade, piece, like a good acquisition. So I don't think it's this criminal offense that they weren't able to find a taker for Eric Bledsoe, but it kind of ends this saga with okay. And that's kind of, I feel like the Blazers' whole offseason has been okay. Not bad. Passing grade, a lot of C+, B- type stuff, but a lot of C+, B- type stuff. And it is what it is. I think the Blazers are I think the Blazers did okay this offseason, but I think ending up here is if you're a little underwhelmed, I think you have every right to be. I don't think you can scream and yell and break windows or whatever over the Bledsoe not being dealt for stuff. This was kind of over the last 2 weeks. This was sort of, if you listen to this podcast, I was guessing that this is the direction it was going to head. This is where they landed. Eric Bledsoe, we hardly knew ye, best of luck. If you're really into Blazers financial stuff, if Bledsoe gets paid more than the minimum, the Blazers do get a little offset money for how much he gets paid. And he'll be in the NBA next year. He's not very good, but he's definitely an NBA player. And he should sign with the Denver Nuggets. I maintain that they need another dude who can dribble, and Eric Bledsoe, if nothing else, can dribble a little bit. They should, and if he signs for more than the minimum, if he signs for some portion of somebody's mid-level exception somewhere, which is basically what he's looking at, the Blazers will get a little bit of salary relief. And it'll be so wonderful if the Blazers get a little bit lower under that under the tax apron that they've now triggered with the hard cap. The other administrative thing, I skipped this the other night, but Jody Allen released a statement that she's not selling the team, which is the exact type of thing you do when you're not selling the team. You notice that all other owners across the league are constantly releasing statements that they're not selling the team. Yeah, I don't know if this changes my opinion. I think the Blazers are still very likely to be sold in the next couple years, but according to the statement from Allen, from the Allen estate and Jody Allen herself, they're still sorting out the Blazers eventually will be sold, but the team is still sorting out the Paul Allen's estate after his passing. He passed in 2018, and that it could take 10 or 20 years, according to the statement, for that to be sorted out. Yeah, right. Sure. Choose to believe it if you want. There's no way in hell the Allen estate owns the team for 10 more seasons. No way in hell. But we will see. It's the type of thing you do to just like, you're heading into this, you own the Seahawks and the Blazers. You're heading into the start of like both of these years. You want to present strong ownership, saying the team is not for sale. We plan to own this for a long team is like the sort of like strong ownership PR thing you do. Cool. Doesn't mean much to me. Still anticipate the Blazers will be sold. This is maybe like a cut that check type of situation. If you want to see how much the Denver Broncos just got sold for, you want to buy the Seahawks, pony up. You want to buy the Blazers. You saw the Forbes valuation. You're gonna have to go over that. Pony up. Meaningless in terms of like actual anything, but if nothing else, a statement worth commenting on here very briefly on the show. Let's talk free agency stuff. We talked free agency stuff. Let's talk Summer League. Shaedon Sharpe's going to play basketball tomorrow. I'm excited to watch him. Let's talk about it in the second segment. But first, let me tell you about rockauto.com, the family business specializing helping do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. 2 decades of experience helping you fix your car faster and cheaper, like legitimately cheaper. Save 30, 50, even 100% compared to the chain auto parts stores and the car dealerships, and also save yourself some time instead of going to places where they just can't carry all the parts they need for every make and model on the road these days. Go to a website born online, specializing in helping and having the inventory to help you fix your car. Go to rockauto.com right now, see all the parts available for your car or your truck, and while you're there, write Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box. That way they will know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com. Still a pass first point guard. Still screwing up my intro to this segment. All right, let's keep it rolling. Summer League talk. The Blazers open their Summer League late game in Vegas on Thursday night. There's a 2-game showcase to begin the Summer League season in Las Vegas, and the whole dang NBA is going to be in Vegas, and they're going to get to watch the nightcap. Pistons, Blazers, get your popcorn ready. I'm not a big popcorn guy. I'll probably have other snacks if you really want to know. But it's going to be fun because I think for the first time in a couple years, the Blazers have like real intrigue on the roster. I want to go through the roster, guys. I got 7 dudes who are going to be on the roster and what I want to see from each of them. But I want to start at the top. I'm excited to watch Shaedon Sharpe play basketball. I've watched the YouTube clips. It is easy to fall in love with his game on YouTube. He's lighting up them dudes in AAU. He changed his life in the summer of 2021 when he went from, you're going to be one of the good players in the graduating class of 2022 to, you are too good to wait another year of high school. You should get out of here and go pro. He changed his life. He was that dominant on the Nike EYBL circuit. I've watched the clips of that circuit. Dude is easy to fall in love with. The dunks, the hops, the step backs, the ability to get past people, the ability to create space for a jumper. Like, it is easy to enjoy Shaedon Sharpe crushing teenagers, even teenagers in high-level AAU basketball tournament. Summer League is a different beast. Not particularly organized basketball, but certainly higher level than the AAU circuit. It's like several steps up, right? A summer league team would typically beat the snot out of even the best college teams. Let's keep it a buck. These are adults. So this will be the highest level basketball game we've ever seen Shaedon Sharpe play. And the thing that I want to see, like for other guys, I have specific things. I'm going to mention Trendon and Keon Johnson and Greg Brown here. And I've watched these guys play basketball before, watched them play NBA basketball before. I want to see specific skills to them improve. I don't really have that with Shaedon Sharpe. I want to see the whole damn package. There was a story written today by Casey Holdahl, Trailblazers.com, or this week by Casey Holdahl, Trailblazers.com. Just his teammates raving about what they've seen from Sharpe in summer league practices and leading up, and really excited. In fact, there's an interview on the Blazers YouTube page where Brandon Williams lights up talking about Shaedon Sharpe. Brandon Williams, you got me intrigued, my man. That smile you gave when talking about Shaedon Sharpe's got me intrigued. I want to see the whole package. I want to see the offensive creation. I want to see the dunks. I want to see the ability to get to your own jump shot. I want to see the makings of a star. I don't need Shaedon Sharpe to dominate no dang summer league games. I don't need him to be the best player on the court. I do not need that. That is not my expectation is not that Shaedon Sharpe wins MVP of summer league. My expectation is that Shaedon Sharpe has moments, a handful of flashes, maybe 4 throughout the game, where you're like, oh, I'm not sure a bunch of other dudes can do that. I want to see those moments when you see how special he can be pop. I want to see the pops. I want to see inconsistency, bad decision making, hasn't played, a ton of organized basketball in a while, all of the sort of things that you could expect in game 1 of summer league that could be a little bit slow and take a while to get going. Sure, grain of salt, I will be whatever. I'll overreact or underreact, whatever it might be, but I'm not gonna put too much into struggles. But I want to see a couple moments from Shaedon Sharpe where it's that's why he's this guy. To me, that's my expectation for Sharpe. The whole package. I want to see moments when the whole package pops. The ball handling, the ability to look a defender and say, there's no way you can stop me from getting where I want to go. I want to see it. I want to see him get out on the break and throw down a big dunk. I want to see him. I want to see him be competitive on defense. To me, Shaedon Sharpe is where other guys. It's hey, you need to do this skill so you can earn playing time. Right? Talk about those gentlemen in a second. With Sharpe, I think he earns playing time by being too good to sit, as opposed to okay, he can kind of defend and do this and that. Sure, that'll help him get on the court, in the sort of. In the sort of micro specifics, hey, we need someone who can guard a little bit. I'm talking big picture stuff. Shaedon Sharpe played so damn well in summer league, you have to play him. He looked so good, he looks so good that you have to get him on the court. That's what, as opposed to specific fit within the roster, I think Sharpe more than anyone else or unique to his situation is, oh, this dude's too talented not to play, we'll figure it out. That's what I want to see from Shaedon Sharpe is a dude who was a top, 7th pick in the NBA draft, top 10 pick in the draft. I want to see him show flashes of why he went that high and why people said, oh, if he waited till 2023, he'd be the number 1 overall pick. Let's see it. Let's see it. Let's give the Blazers a problem. Let's give the Blazers a problem. That. The best case scenario for Shaedon Sharpe coming out of summer league is that Portland has too many guards who have to play. Right now, they probably just have too many guards, because Damian and Josh Hart are going to play a bunch of minutes, and you've still got Keon, you still got Shaedon Sharpe, who's probably not a 3 yet, just because of his age and size, and all those and you need to play Gary Payton some minutes where he'll probably slot in as a guard, but I want it to be coming out of summer league, a legitimate problem that you have no idea what to do with Shaedon Sharpe. That's the best case scenario for him is that Joe Cronin and Chauncey Billups leave Vegas what are we going to do with this kid? Because we got to get him on the court. That's the best case scenario. With the other guys, I have more specific things. Let's run through some specifics I have. For Trendon Watford, I want to see range from Trendon Watford. Inside 14 feet, inside 10 feet, Trendon Watford's pretty darn good. He's good to get himself to the rim with either hand. He's got a really nice floater. He's got great floater touch. That dude in floater range is really good. He's a little bit hesitant to shoot from three, or he has been and was during his rookie season, and he doesn't pull up earlier than that floater range. Like he doesn't look for, I don't want him to take a bunch of pull up 17-footers, but like he doesn't look at the rim until he's inside the foul line, until he's inside 15 feet. I want to see from Trendon Watford, I want to see him a willingness to shoot. If there's a time to shoot bricks with abandon, it's summer league. Shoot the ball, Trendon, and shoot it in the flow of the offense. Like, no record scratch where you're supposed to shoot it and oops, I didn't shoot it, like the music stopped. Shoot it in rhythm and shoot it without hesitation. I want to see Trendon Watford be aggressive and looking for his own jumper. That's key to me. For Greg Brown III, I think Trendon Watford's going to play, to be clear. I think he's going to be part of the rotation early in the season. Greg Brown is outside of the rotation for me, but he has a chance, albeit unlikely, but he has a chance. He could work himself in just because of his frame, and because if he's a 4 in the league, which I think he eventually is, the Blazers need that position. They desperately need someone who can do that at Greg's size and his athleticism. He's just not quite there yet. So for me, what I want to see from Greg Brown in Summer League is I want to see better feel and better decision-making. The game for Greg Brown looked too fast. His highlights when he was special was when he didn't have to think. He could cut baseline, he'd throw the lob to him, dude could jump 14 feet in the air, he'd go get the ball. Straight line drive in a fast break, through the legs dunk in a fast break. Like when he doesn't have to think and he can just play, Greg was phenomenal. Like an athlete that like in a league filled with the best athletes on earth, a cut above those gentlemen. Greg Brown was really special with his athletic gifts. But when he had to think and had to make decisions and had to go against set defenses, you could see him thinking too much. You could see him processing slowly. What I'm hoping to see from Greg Brown in Summer League is the processing pick up a little bit. His feel for where to be on defense get a little bit better, because he struggled just kind of like where to be, where to send guys, kind of decision making on how to handle some of his defensive assignments. He had some crazy block highlights, and he's got some physicality that he could end up being a special defensive player. But if you have to think the game, then while you're playing, then your physical gifts cannot keep up with all of the little decisions that your brain has to make. And if you don't have a natural feel for it, your special gifts can't show. I'm hoping to see Greg take those steps there. And just decision making on offense. Sometimes it seems like he would make up his mind to drive and it wouldn't be there, or things like that. Decision making and feel. Those are the two areas that would really hope to see Greg Brown improve on. And I think if he improves there, the physical tools really will get him close. Like he's for all of these guys, it's like shoot better. Like if Greg Brown shoots better, changes the game. But like specific to him, decision making and feel. I want to talk about Jabari Walker. I want to talk about Brandon Williams. I also want to talk about Keon Johnson. And then to close the show, let's come and join me in the third segment. But first, let me tell you about Built Bar, best tasting protein bar on the market. I'm recording this on a Wednesday evening. I ate a Built Bar before I hit record, y'all, because I need a little fuel. I opened up a peanut butter brownie Built Bar. I got my 17 grams of protein with just 130 calories and 4 net carbs with only 4 grams of sugar. Sweet, covered in 100% real chocolate, has a candy bar-like flavor but packs a real punch. If you're not into peanut butter brownie, there's a cajillion other flavors on Built.com. They got some standards that are always there. Plus, they're always coming out with limited time options and new products that are still packing that same Built Bar punch. So go to Built.com, use the promo code LOCK15, get 15% off your next order. That's promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at Built.com. Still a pass first point guard. I'm still Mike Richmond, and you are still listening to Locked On Blazers. We got 4 more dudes I want to run through for the Blazers. Let's start with Jabari Walker, someone who I am very intrigued by. Jabari is almost certainly going to sign a 2-way contract. I do not believe the Blazers have announced his situation yet, but almost certainly going to be the Blazers' other 2-way guy. That means that he is quite specifically not an NBA player, because he is in a 2-way contract. It's like a limbo spot, even though 2-way guys are allowed to be with a team and practice for as long as they want and travel to all the games if they want this year. And the Blazers don't have a G League team, so it's unlikely that Jabari is going to spend like extended period with the G League squad, just because that's not the way the Blazers have operated in the past. So he might spend some time down there getting seasoning, but he is very unlikely to be a rotation NBA player. And he is, quite frankly, not being paid to be one. but he's got an intriguing skill set. And so I want to see the early sort of edges of a 3-and-D prospect. I want to see the three-point shooting. He doesn't need to burn down the nets for me to get excited, but I want to see, someone who has a good, repeatable, interesting motion. I've watched a little bit of, YouTube clips of him, so I get it. But seeing him up close and seeing him in this setting, I want to see, a guy who looks like a shooter, plays and looks like a shooter looking for a shot. And I want to see energy on defense. Summer League is not the place to distinguish yourself as a defensive player. So it's not great for someone who's trying to do that. But playing hard, playing smart, not committing a bunch of dumb fouls, not getting wildly out of position, being in the right spots, even if your teammates aren't, is a step for me. I want to see the sort of the rough edges of a 3-and-D prospect, because I think Jabari Walker is the type of dude you want. He's the right size, right athletic profile, rebounder, defender, shooter, right? He checks some of the boxes. Maybe he doesn't have a lot of individual shot creation. He profiles as a dude who's a role player, right? And if the Blazers find an NBA player as deep in the second round at 57, like they did with him, and he certainly profiles as someone who could be that, they get a real steal. And I want to see the rough edges of that 3-and-D potential. I'm not putting a lot into Jabari Summer, but if he pops, I'm ready to be excited. I'm ready to raise one, maybe even two eyebrows at his progress. The rough outlines of a 3-and-D producer. For the other guys on the roster, like Didi Louzada, I want to see anything that looks like an offensive package. Didi was basically a dude who shot 3-pointers and didn't do anything else on offense during his season with the Pelicans and the Blazers. He just kind of floated on offense and spaced and shot it, and wasn't even super aggressive with his shooting, but spaced and shot it. Did not really take twos, didn't make twos, and certainly didn't take many twos. Nearly 75% of his shots were from three. It's a massive, nearly 80% of his shots were from three. Let's see, Didi, this is a great opportunity for you to expand your offensive game in a setting that allows itself to expand your offensive game. Didi was at least pitched to, from what I understand it, from what Cronin's told the press, is kind of a 3-and-D type, right? I don't think we really saw that at the end of the year for the Blazers. Never really popped for me. Not someone who I saw as a particularly intriguing young prospect. I saw a dude who didn't look quite like he was going to fit in a league. Part of that is just a limited offensive arsenal. I would love to see Didi Louzada expand that offensive arsenal, or try to and spectacularly fail. This is the spot to explore the waters. Stick your toes in the deep end and figure it out, because Summer League is a lab. You're allowed to get in the lab and experiments a little bit, because there are losing is fine. So playing poorly and losing is fine, but let's see a little bit more from more expansive arsenal from Didi will be the thing that I want to see the most. From Keon Johnson, it is playing to the second move, or the number of counters he has. Keon has some real special physical gifts that we saw when he's in his half a season or whatever, 25 games with the Blazers. He would sometimes catch it, see a guy coming, spin off that first help defender and find a way to get a shot up at the rim, or quick first step on a closeout, get all the way to the rack, or just there's these moments, cut baseline and grab an offensive rebound with leaping and speed. Get into the rim, see the help defense coming, throw a quick pass that nobody, before the defender comes, a great play. He just real physical gifts because of his athleticism and his strength and at his size, that it's oh, okay, cool. I get why people are excited about this dude, because he's a really good athlete. Then there were times that he just took wild 17-footers because he decided to shoot it before he caught it, or he did his spin move because he saw the defense coming, but they knew it was coming, and he's spinning into traffic, spinning into two defenders. He's throwing a pass into the wickets, into the woods, because the help defense only came halfway and he didn't have a counter. I want to see Keon with the counters. I want to see Keon use those gifts to do the second thing, to anticipate and read the second thing. I don't think Keon Keon Johnson really has a path to real playing time this year, because I think if the Blazers are going to play like an intriguing young wing, it's going to be Shaedon Sharpe over him. But he has some physical tools that make me think he could be an NBA player. It's just he hasn't put the package together. And for me, it was mostly just decision-making stuff and the speed of the game stuff. There were times where he got ahead of was playing at this necessary speed with the decision-making he needed to have to be good. And this is like a thing with young players, is just like processing an NBA defense at full speed is really difficult. It's what separates the really special guys from players who take a little while to get going. And I think Keon is a really raw long-term project. But it doesn't mean he's not an NBA player. It just means that he might take additional years of seasoning. I want to see a little bit from growth from Keon, and most of the growth I want to see is with that second level decision making. It's not like feel. Like I don't think he has a bad feel necessarily. It's that I think sometimes he says, I'm going to do this, and it's head down, do it, without the ability to keep your head up, to keep the decision tree more than just like, well, I already decided to take a pull-up jump shot, so I'm just going to take a terrible pull-up jump shot. It's that second level. It's all the counters Keon needs to develop. The counters to someone sitting on a strong right-hand drive and knowing that he might spin back left, not just spinning back left and getting caught. Like it's the counters and even that secondary counter to the counter type of stuff. That's where I want to see Keon grow, and I think he truly can. The last guy I want to talk about is Brandon Williams. B-Will is he's going to be a two-way guy. He's, the emergency third point guard. He showed that he can get to the rack in the NBA last year. Like he earned himself from a 10-day to a two-way. Like he ended up like being a guy that the Blazers took a flyer on in December, took another flyer on in February, and then said, nah, we should like try to get this dude to be part of the program for an extended period of time because he can play. I don't think he has with a lot of these guys, I don't know that he has a path to playing time on a fully healthy roster. If everybody's healthy, I'm not sure where Brandon Williams plays. In fact, he won't play if everyone's healthy. But he might kick ass in Summer League. Summer League is for guards. It's a place where guards thrive. That's like why I really want to see Keon play well, because it's a place where guards thrive. I think Brandon Williams' game is really well suited to Summer League. Really well suited. He's got a lot of craft with the ball in his hands. He's incredibly fast. He's good at getting himself to the rim. Like he's really hard to check in one-on-one situations. He's not much of a shooter. And I'm not sure that we're going to see him take massive strides there. And for me, Brandon Williams doesn't need to bomb away from three for me to be like on board. I'm already on board with him being a pretty good NBA player without the jump shot. But his because I think his skill set will naturally allow him, if he wants to have like big games in Summer League. The thing that I would like to see from Brandon Williams, and the thing that would sort of intrigue me, is if he's a table setter. Because he'll be able to get his when he wants it. But if he can get guys in the right spot, if he can get Shaedon Sharpe shots where he wants it, get Greg Brown, in rhythm and places to attack, run pick and rolls with Trendon Watford that allows Watford to attack, and then pick his spots in the half court when the Blazers need it. I don't want to see Brandon Williams go score 1,000 points because one, I think he can in Summer League. Two, like the next step for him is being more than just a dude who can get to the rim whenever he wants. That is an awesome skill that got him a job. He made probably $500,000 by being able to get to the rack on his own. I would like to see him be more table setter, facilitator, organizer of this group. It'll be curious who the Blazers roll with, but if he's their primary guard over some other guys, over Keon, then I want to see B-Will set the table. I want to see B-Will look like, I was trying not to, but I want to see B-Will look like a pass-first point guard. Might be my own personal biases on that one. That's what I want to see from the Blazers in Summer League. Those Blazers roster guys. Thursday night. This is Thursday show. This evening, you're going to see them play. See Shaedon Sharpe play. See Jabari Walker play. See Trendon Watford and Greg Brown and Brandon Williams and gang all get out on the court. I'm excited. I'm super excited. Friday's show, we will talk about what we saw from those gentlemen when they finally hit the court. It's going to be a ton of fun. Do not miss Friday's show. We'll have 5 more shows next week because that's what we do. It's the only daily Trailblazers podcast every single weekday, free on all platforms. So make it your first listen every day. Tell your friends to do the same. Appreciate you listening. I'll talk to you soon.